In the beginning, the history of HP Wren. This overview describes the evolution of the University of California, San Diego, UCSD, High Performance Wireless Research and Education Network, HP Wren project. HP Wren originated as a wide area wireless communications research project at the dawn of this millennium. Initially limited to the San Diego County, in support of Internet data applications in research and education domains, it evolved over time. A substantial collaboration with first responder agencies emerged from a very first informational discussion when those agencies assisted with HP Wren's need to deploy routers and wireless links on mountaintops. Examples of early connections include Native American tribes via their education centers, the SDSU Santa Margarita Ecological Reserve as a biological field station, the Mount Laguna and Palomar Observatories for astronomy, the California Wolf Center as another biological observatory, as well as many earthquake and other geophysical sensors. The initial first responder agencies with which HP Wren collaborated with were the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CDF, now CAL FIRE, via their Emergency Command Center, as well as the Regional Communication Systems staff at the San Diego Sheriff's Department. In retrospect, without this assistance at their mountaintop locations, it would have been unlikely that HP Wren could have expanded to the scope it is today, almost a quarter of a century later. Over time, collaborations also expanded to include San Diego Gas and Electric, as well as various research groups at multiple academic institutions. Currently, in addition to the communications infrastructure system for research and education, HP Wren also provides wireless communication support for cameras and sensors, often in remote areas, through a radio-based wireless networking system with components that are typically off-the-shelf equipment. This wide area network now spans San Diego County and has been extended into multiple other Southern California counties. With its radios often located in high elevations, many of these sites also support collocated cameras, weather stations with a high temporal resolution, and other sensors. All of the regional ANSA seismic sensors are also supported. HP Wren camera and other sensor data is openly published in near real time at hpwren.ucsd.edu. Seismic data is available at doi.org. For more than a decade, HP Wren has also provided internet access to first responders in support of 60-plus backcountry federal U.S. Forest Service, state, CAL FIRE, and San Diego County fire stations. The fire station network access and near real-time camera image availability across San Diego County provide a significant public safety component to emergency responders as well as the larger community. In 1999, geophysicist Frank Vernon of the UCSD Scripps Institution of Oceanography approached Hans Werner Braun of the UCSD San Diego Supercomputer Center to request assistance in transitioning his wireless earthquake sensor network to the Internet Protocol Suite, giving HP Wren a strong starting point for an interesting project. Prior low-power wireless systems were based on proprietary asynchronous serial protocols, and this transition was necessary to ensure that Seismic Network could utilize the reliable state-of-the-art TCP/IP protocol suite and data loggers from serial data streams to IP-based communication. Neither Frank Vernon nor Hans Werner Braun could have anticipated at the time that their collaboration would give rise to the HP Wren project, which would ultimately evolve into a large-scale cyber infrastructure in California. In 2000, Hans Werner Braun and his team began to investigate the feasibility of supporting a regional wireless network, and they were particularly interested in assessing the impact of weather conditions on microwave signals, such as cloud cover and other atmospheric phenomena. The first HP Wren field sensor was a weather station at Hans Werner Braun's residence in Ramona, which initially served as the HP Wren lab. Cameras were subsequently added before being moved to HP Wren mountaintop locations to observe cloud activity with the initial goal of better understanding and improving the performance of a wide area wireless network. These early efforts included the deployment of multiple weather stations and subsequently cameras at HP Wren network backbone locations. Headquartered at the University of California, HP Ren currently provides high-speed, low-latency networking support to research, education, and public safety users across various Southern California counties. HP Ren was initially funded by the National Science Foundation, NSF, in 2000 for an interdisciplinary collaboration on performance aspects of high-performance wireless research and education network, and 2004 for integration and analysis of reliable networking and remote science education and first responders. With accomplishments base renewal for another 2 years in 2009, with NSF funding ending around 2011, HP Ren became a subscriber service and as a result of self-sustaining while operating on a cost recovery basis. Although the original concept was for the creation of a wireless communications research project, AP Ren early on found itself involved in discussions and activities related to public safety. In its first years, HP Ren assisted firefighting operations by providing its first ad hoc connection to a wildfire in San Diego County, named Coyote Fire, Operations Incident Command Post, ICP, in 2003. This was followed by connections to fire stations, camps, and air bases, as well as several more connections to ICPs for active fires across several years. In addition, HP Ren increased situational awareness with its real-time environment observing cameras and sensors. Some of its meteorological sensors data started being used to generate automated alerts of critical conditions such as Santa Ana winds reaching one or more critical thresholds to various public safety officials. HP Ren operates as a partnership project with access predominantly provided in rural and remote environments. In addition, HP Ren staff seek to educate its users about the underlying technologies, thereby creating a collaborative technology transfer platform in which its users can actively participate in the network's evolution to ensure it meets their own pragmatic requirements. NSF provided some financial support prior to the August 2000 award for a proof of concept effort. With the award, the prototype was to be extended as a cyber infrastructure to various research and education projects for the purpose of communications and backhauling data and access remote sensors, which then included earthquake and various other type of sensors. Following the August 2000 NSF award for HP Ren, the proposal for establishment of CalLit 2 was submitted on October 5, 2000, and described plans to leverage the HP Ren networking infrastructure to address critical applications in environment and civil infrastructure monitoring. As the project progressed, HP Ren transitioned to receive support from its major customers and stakeholders. In 2010, the County of San Diego provided funding to augment HP Ren's existing camera and sensor infrastructure. At the time, HP Ren already had a significant number of fire stations connected. This led to San Diego Gas and Electric, SDG&E, supporting a substantial build-out of connectivity, cameras, and weather sensors in the San Diego County area, while also adding connectivity for many local, state, and federal fire stations as possible. The continuation of this build-out is now directly supported by San Diego County, SDG&E, and various fire agencies. For more than its first decade, HP Ren was funded by the National Science Foundation. Hans Werner Braun served as principal investigator on those grants, with co-principal investigator Frank Vernon. Around 2012, HP Ren became self-sustaining, supported by contributions from its various stakeholders, including San Diego County, San Diego Gas and Electric, and various constituents, including major research centers such as the California Institute of Technology's Palomar Observatory and the UC San Diego Scripps Institution of Oceanography. In 2016, Frank Vernon stepped into the role of project director and PI when Hans Werner Braun retired from UCSD for medical reasons while continuing to stay involved part-time. In recent years, HP Ren has significantly deepened its collaboration with the Alert California program, which is a UC San Diego initiative under the leadership of Professor Neil Driscoll. The origin for this partnership has its roots in the creation of Alert Wildfire Consortium, co-initiated by Professor Graham Kent at the University of Nevada, Reno. Starting in 2016, Alert Wildfire began the deployment of pan-tilt-zoom PTZ cameras across California, Nevada, and Oregon. This period marked a phase of rapid expansion for Alert Wildfire, which now boasts over 1,000 PTZ cameras equipped with near-infrared capabilities for enhanced wildfire detection and monitoring. Building on the success of Alert Wildfire, Alert California was introduced in 2022, representing a significant evolution of the original program and aiming to further leverage technology in wildfire management and research. As a state-specific program, Alert California is focused on wildfire monitoring and related research efforts in California. The state has more than 163,000 square miles of diverse terrain, which requires adaptive fire management across government agencies and novel research. Alert California is positioned to work with government agencies, utilities, and universities to meet state-specific needs and provide the data required to fill knowledge gaps and inform management decisions. HP-REN has two roles in support of Alert California. The first role was hosting 95 Alert California PTZ cameras, and the second was managing a subset of Alert California networking system. Both roles are expanding as new sites are added to Alert California. Throughout its history, HP-REN has placed a high level of importance on its partnership with the Center for Wireless Communications at UCSD and subsequently California Institute for Telecommunications and Information Technology. The relationship between HP-REN and CalLIT-2 evolved over the last 2 decades, enabling new scientific applications such as hyperspectral environmental sensing and the testing of new wireless technologies such as CBRS. These collaborations have also helped establish a cloud-based archival storage environment and access to tools that enable students to develop advanced ML basic algorithms to infer the effects of the environment on lives, livelihood, communities, and industry. In addition to project discussions, CalLIT-2 supported HP-REN's data server infrastructure when the number of cameras was rapidly increasing in the early 2010s. This collaboration has since resulted in staffing support for HP-REN. From CalLIT-2's Pacific Research Platform project, equipment at multiple storage servers and services from both CalLIT-2 at UCSD and UCI, and funding support for an AWS proof of concept experiment for a variety of cloud services including S3 and Glacier storage, image workflow management, and dynamic web hosting. In 2000, the High Performance Wireless Research and Education Network was established to explore wide area wireless network connectivity. The initial setup involved a point-to-point mountaintop backbone network comprised of IP routers interconnected via wireless links. This network connected the San Diego Supercomputer Center to several key backbone locations while providing internet access to the HP-REN site. As the project evolved, additional backbone nodes were strategically added to enhance coverage and connectivity. These mountaintop locations were critical in creating a wireless access link that connected various remote locations directly to the internet via SDSC. The network's expansion continued with the addition of nodes to connect to several significant sites, showcasing a significant advancement in wireless network technology and infrastructure development since its inception. As of now, all backbone links in the network boast a minimum bandwidth of 200 megabits per second, utilizing licensed 6 GHz and 11 GHz links. These frequencies are particularly suited for long-range point-to-point connections, effectively covering distances up to 43.5 miles. This enhancement ensures more robust and reliable connectivity across the wide geographic spread of the network. In 2023, HP-REN took a leap forward in wireless technology by installing its first millimeter wave link. This cutting-edge addition is designed for shorter distances but offers a substantial increase in capacity, reaching speeds of 10 gigabits per second. This significant upgrade underscores HP-REN's commitment to staying at the forefront of wireless networking technology, continuously expanding its capacity and reach to meet growing demands and technological advancements. Given the capabilities of early HP-REN network, discussions about ad hoc connectivity for firefighting incidents resulted in mobile rapid response demonstration in early 2001, with CDF Emergency Command Center officers on site. The objective was to prototype deployment of connectivity to Incident Command Posts, ICP, and base camps in real time during active fires. Direct networking support for county fire stations evolved from 2013 onward. The Advanced Situational Awareness for Public Safety Network, ASAP-Net, became an HP-REN wireless network extension primarily serving fire stations. In 2019, new backcountry community resource centers were established by SDG&E in partnership with local communities, which were later upgraded by HP-REN in 2021 to offer resilient internet access. These community centers are activated as part of the public safety program when power is dropped in the area during red flag warnings. The HP-REN project initiated its first deployment of pan-tilt-zoom cameras manufactured by Axis. In 2001, experiments involved the introduction of a new type of camera featuring higher resolution and a predictable fixed field of view. Initially, the Ryco RDC i700 image capturing device was utilized, which retained the capability for zooming. However, this advanced camera, even by contemporary standards, incorporated an Ethernet attachment capability, enabling remote control, image capture, and image acquisition through that interface. The sole issue encountered was the camera's inability to automatically power up after a loss of input power. During this period, Pablo Bryant, a collaborator from SMER, introduced the team to IQ Envision's IQ-Eye cameras. These devices were distinguished by their lack of moving parts and their network-driven operations via Ethernet, rapidly becoming a preferred choice for deployment. IQ Envision also provided a valuable technical advice and facilitated the emission of IR blocking filter during manufacturing process for one of the cameras. Additionally, in 2003, a single IQ-Eye camera was installed at CAL FIRE's Ramona Air Attack Base in August. By 2004, HP-REN had established two locations that facilitated side-by-side comparisons of PTZ cameras and fixed FOV cameras. Subsequently, the CAL FIRE ECC chief and one of the captains, who as part of this collaboration had been given video and control access by HP-REN for the PTZ cameras. Many years later, a separate UNR Alert Tahoe project reintroduced PTZ cameras to mountaintop wildfire observational systems around 2014, only leaving one IQ-Eye camera remaining in active use today. The newer cameras have 6 megapixels per chip and separate color and monochrome imagers, for a total of 2 imagers per camera enclosure. 2 chips times 4 cameras per site amounted to 48 megapixels being collected at a baseline rate of initially once per every minute. This image acquisition rate can be substantially increased as needed, such as during fires. The Alert Tahoe project at the University of Nevada, Reno, installed Axis pan-tilt-zoom cameras at multiple locations around Lake Tahoe. Around the end of 2016, HP-REN partnered with Alert Tahoe to deploy their PTZ technology. The cameras monitored by CAL FIRE via NSL and archived by UCSD's supercomputers are effective for early wildfire detection and aiding firewatch patrols to respond effectively. The value of having 2 PTZ cameras along with FFOV cameras providing unobstructed 360-degree panoramic views and is now the standard throughout the HP-REN system. Starting in 2018, the Axis pan-tilt-zoom cameras supported by HP-REN were integrated into the newly formed Alert Wildfire project, which was an outgrowth and merger of the Alert Tahoe and Alert SDGE programs. Based on more than 2 decades of field experience, multiple sensor types have been shown to be valuable for providing real-time situational awareness from a public safety perspective. It has also become evident that one-size-fits-all approach is not optimal. At mountaintop sites with substantial infrastructure and obstructed views, a combination of 2 pan-tilt-zoom cameras for a consistent view without obstruction from the tower, collocated with 4 fixed field of view cameras, provides the most comprehensive coverage. More than 1,000 distinct public IP addresses access HP-REN camera data on a typical day, and far more can be observed during a significant fire or hazardous weather event. The U.S. National Weather Service is a significant user of HP-REN data and uses it on its forecast pages. Images from HP-REN cameras have always been publicly accessible via the HP-REN webpage and are also archived. Images are acquired from each camera every minute, with some exceptions for a 2-second interval, enabling the creation of time-lapse videos. JPG images and MP4 time-lapse videos were made accessible via a variety of tools integrated with the HP Ren website. These tools allowed users to manually select images and videos for download. Also supported were Nextcloud sites for more graphical, point-and-click, Google Drive-like experience for locating and bulk downloading HP Ren data. These tools remained available through 2022 when HP Ren began the transition to using object-oriented storage and cloud-based AWS services in response to weaknesses with the mass storage and used at that time. Currently, only web-based manual lookup and downloads of imagery are available. Alternate storage and camera workflow experiments supported by Pacific Research Platform, PRP, and California Institute for Telecommunications and Information Technology, CalLIT-2, took place from 2017 onward. This experimental system was implemented as a service spawning and maintaining a single, long-running process per camera, able to handle concurrent fetching from 150 cameras once per minute using a single 4 GB virtual machine. The system allowed image load to be spread across multiple servers as needed to support flexible scaling. The prototype system was tested at both UCSD and UCI. The CalLIT HP Ren collaboration was initially implemented in a virtual machine environment during 2020 and expanded and integrated into a container-based application in 2021. The container-based and VM-based applications share a common source code, configuration files, and development environment. The UCI camera images were fetched, stored, and published using Nextcloud at UCI. A similar proof of concept was developed at UCSD. Nextcloud supported camera image exploration access and bulk downloading using a point-and-click web-based interface. Around 2022, a data-driven system was developed to automatically rebuild the HP Ren camera web pages from central spreadsheets which described all cameras. During this time period, they redesigned their image fetch system for improving scaling abilities. Finally, multiple storage technologies were investigated to better support their system and its ever-increasing archival storage requirements. The HP Ren network infrastructure has evolved over time through systematic upgrades and expansions of wireless network radios to support increased throughput and broader connectivity. Stratix, Harris, and later Exalt radios were used for backbone links during the first 2 decades, with Lucent, WLAN, Trango, Radwin, and other used for access links. On the storage front, numerous storage evaluations and improvements have been made. As a significant user of large image storage, incremental additions of a few hundred terabytes were ultimately found to be insufficient for their ever-increasing image archival environment. UCSD CalLIT-2 Pacific Research Platform project provided HP Ren with multiple servers, each with 1 to 200 terabytes of storage. In 2022, they began the process of adopting cloud storage for their long-term storage requirements. This adoption of AWS cloud storage enabled via a collaboration with CalLIT-2 at UCSD was undertaken to provide regional storage independence and high availability to their users. A cloud-based system has been designed and initially adopted by mid-2023 for bulk storage. The new storage system will host archival data and eventually provide various web-accessible data services. The HP Ren camera images are currently utilized by a diverse range of entities, including government agencies, private corporations, public media such as local news networks, and the general public. Facilitated by HP Ren for approximately the past 2 decades, this data is made publicly available with minimal restrictions. The primary requirement is simply the acknowledgement of HP Ren as the source. California Mobilization Guide. Mission Statement. The principal mission for the California Geographic Area Coordination Centers is the cost-effective and timely coordination of Wildland Protection Agency emergency response for wildland fire and all risk incidents. This is accomplished through planning, situation monitoring, and expediting resource usage between the Forest Service, California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, Bureau of Land Management, National Park Services, Fish and Wildlife Services, Bureau of Indian Affairs, National Weather Service, Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and other cooperating agencies. The California Interagency Mobilization Guide identified standard procedures which guide the operations of multi-agency logistical support activity throughout the coordinating system. This guide is intended to facilitate interagency dispatch coordination, ensuring the timeliest and most cost-effective incident support services available are provided. The California Interagency Mobilization Guide is designed to accommodate amendments as needed and will be retained as current material until amended. The California Interagency Mobilization Guide is used to supplement the National Interagency Mobilization Guide. This guide is governed by each of the signatory agencies' policies and procedures. Additional information not found in this reference can be obtained by contacting the GACC. The California GACCs, the Emergency Command Centers, Dispatch Centers, and their respective duty chief officers have many responsibilities, the most important of which are effective and timely communications with and service to the field. All levels of dispatching and coordination involving the various agencies throughout the state must provide for continuous and adequate communication. The GACCs, ECCs, and duty chief officers must ensure that responsible officials are kept current on all resource availability. There are two GACCs, which is North Ops and South Ops. North Ops provides coordination and dispatch services for the Northern California National Forests, the Bureau of Land Management, the National Park Service, Fish and Wildlife Service, Bureau of Indian Affairs, CAL FIRE, and Pacific Islands for the NPS. CAL FIRE and FEMA assignments for Hawaii and Pacific Trust territories.
Thank you all for coming. We're very excited to see everybody here.
We have Jonathan Fisher from the Truckee Ranger District. Jonathan is the District Ranger for the Truckee Ranger District on the Tahoe National Forest. Jonathan began his career as a temporary archaeologist on the Inyo National Forest and then worked in recreation, special uses, and winter sports on the San Bernardino and Inyo National Forest, the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit, and temporary details with the Pacific Southwest Regional Office. Prior to joining the Tahoe National Forest, Jonathan served as National Recreation Special Uses Program Manager for the Washington, D.C. office with a focus on modernizing, permitting, improving, outfitting, and guiding access to National Forest System lands and collaborating with state and local government to enhance public services. Jonathan earned a BA in anthropology from UC San Diego and an MS in resource management from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland.
Let me say thank you again to the Community Foundation for inviting me to speak at the salon this evening. And for those of you who don't know the Watershed Council, I wanted to let you know that our mission is to bring the community together for the Truckee to restore, enhance, and protect the Truckee River watershed. And our work is in the middle Truckee River watershed. That's where the Truckee River leaves Lake Tahoe and starts to flow north and east toward the state line, along with all the tributary streams that feed the main stem of the Truckee, like Trout Creek and Prosser Creek, those that flow or feed into the main stem of the Truckee River, with all the associated land. And along with that important biodiversity, our watershed also provides water supply through the Martis Valley Aquifer to residents and businesses in the watershed. And then additionally, in the Reno-Sparks metro area, they get a good portion, a substantial portion of their water supply from the Truckee River itself. And then we all know that our watershed is home to a year-round robust recreation economy. In our policy work, we're protecting what is functioning now so that our watershed, our land and our water are better able to address impacts from fire, from drought, from climate change, and in some cases from current land use. We've been working for the past 18 months with a consultant team of Vibrant Planet and 34 North, along with many, many landowners in the Middle Truckee River watershed.
We're going to move on to allow Jonathan to give us an overview of some of the Forest Service upcoming efforts to decrease the threat of fire. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I'll start off by saying, introducing myself. Again, I know many of you, but I'm Jonathan Cook Fisher. I've been the district ranger here since 2019. Joanne Rabique, who I think actually joined us this evening, she was the long-standing district ranger here and did a wonderful job for many, many years. But it's been a joy to join the team in the Tahoe. I do have quite a bit of experience in this area and certainly in the state of California. This is a hugely important issue. Obviously, what we saw last year continues to be on all of our minds. And your question to me as a government official might be, well, what have you learned and what are you doing so that this doesn't happen again or impact the community? There's a wonderful sense of partnerships and organizations all pushing in the same direction to achieve multiple benefits. If you own a home that abuts the national forest and you would like to do some work onto the forest behind your property, I can approve that very quickly. I can approve by letter you to go about 150 feet into the national forest and do some level of fuels reduction. And I like to mention that on every presentation to the community because that, again, is just such important work. I would also like to propose that if you have neighbors that perhaps are elderly or second homeowners, there's nothing preventing you from approaching me more as a group or a neighborhood and suggesting, hey, we'd like to pool our resources and do this more as a collective. These are some of our larger projects. They have multiple benefits associated with them. Often they involve habitat improvement, watershed improvement. Maybe we address other issues such as road and drainage, things of that nature. And then our third major bucket is utility work. I won't get into utility work necessarily tonight, but just to give you an example, Kinder Morgan Petroleum Pipeline, next year we're looking to work with them to clear approximately 12 miles of pipeline through the district, and that's clearing hazardous trees and fuels around that pipeline. Liberty Energy has more than 20 miles of power lines that we'll be doing some analysis and coordination on. So working with utilities is a major aspect of work, but just for the sake of time, we won't really get into it. But what's so exciting to me, working in the Forest Service, is the infrastructure bill didn't just come with funding, it came with new authorities. And one of the newest authorities that we now have is a new categorical exclusion that allows for fuel breaks up to 1,000 feet in width, up to 3,000 acres, located within the WUI or public drinking water sources. Now that's really relevant to Truckee, right? Because Prosser, Stampede, Boca, all public water sources. We have lots of wildland-urban interface. So this new statutory authority is available for our use immediately. And this area is rich in its history. It's rich in its prehistory. Now, I recognize that one of the weaknesses in the Forest Service is that how we get to a project, we don't have city council meetings. We don't have planning meetings where folks can weigh in regularly on ideas and concepts. And so what I wanted to present to you is once the infrastructure bill was signed in, the staff here immediately got into, okay, we have a new authority, where do we use this? And so we've been developing a number of conceptual projects with the goal of being, how do we get to these very quickly? How do we enable our partners to implement in the near term? So two examples would be Alder Creek and Prosser North is what they're being called now, with the goal of how do we use existing data sets so that we can get our partners to start work in these areas immediately, like spring, summer of 2022. That's our goal right now on the Truckee Ranger District. The new statutory authority in the infrastructure bill, how do we get our partners to implement this as soon as possible? Those are the challenges that we're dealing with right now. Now, the new projects in which we've initiated NEPA, Five Creeks represents the most iconic. That's 6,200 acres entirely along that 89 corridor. This EA is going after that large landscape. Why we're so excited about it is that when you think of Five Creeks and then you think of the Lake Tahoe West collaborative planning effort, we're now talking about the potential of a very large piece of land here, public lands extending from North Lake all the way to Truckee that have received some level of treatment. And that we're going to be really pushing this project forward here in the next 2 to 3 months, hopefully. Looking at the time here, I'm going to say thank you.
We did get a lot of questions, which is a fantastic sign and indication both of the interest, and there's a huge diversity in the questions. First, let's go to Bob Hambrecht. You had a question a little while back.
Thanks, Teal. I guess I'll just be real quick. I appreciate the landscape scale work and how important it is. But Lisa, you were saying that you're not dealing with the defensible space in the WUI. And I live at Donner Summit, where the Van Norden Meadow is super important. But there's the land trust, there's the HOAs, there's the ski areas. And I believe there's sort of a need for sort of an intermediate level of planning. There's, hey, you walk around an HOA and get everybody to create defendable space. You do the big landscape. I would love to see stuff done at sort of a community level. It's the old urban planner in me. I think of community planning work. And is that something that's getting done? Am I right in thinking there's a gap there that needs to be filled? I mean, I could be wrong. I'm more than open to it being told that it's being managed, but it seems like there's sort of something in the.
I'm gonna try my best to be rapid fire and then hand the baton to Jonathan.
Big question.
Rapid fire, yeah. So I think this is a great question, and this is maybe where we talk about the difference between an assessment,
right,
helping us analyze and assess and recommend at a landscape scale, and then when we implement, right, and implementation will happen in smaller chunks, to your point. And what we're really hoping, the assessment does address WUI, just to be really clear on that, as well as some intermediate zone between WUI and defensible space, as well as wildlands. What we're hoping is that we can bring together that exact variety, Bob, that you mentioned, that exact variety of landowners to collaborate together. That old term, one site, do it right.
Right.
Jonathan?
My immediate challenge would be, I'd love to see a proposal come from Donner Summit saying, hey, we've organized ourselves as a community, and we'd like to do some limbing and small diameter tree removal out to 150 feet per your presentation here on December 1st. And I can get a letter back out, we can get going on that. And then the next step would be that, let's start thinking about what that out year planning looks like at a community level.
Yeah.
Right, I'll work on that.
More for you to do.
Yes, of course.
There are two questions that are a little bit in a similar vein. So perhaps we'll take both and then have you answer both, Lisa and Jonathan. Lucy Blake and Carrie Timmer. Lucy, perhaps we'll go to you first. And well, actually, Carrie, your question kind of leads into Lucy's. So Carrie, why don't you go ahead and ask yours, and then Lucy will go to you. And my apologies for not reminding us sooner. If you would tell us your name and affiliation as you ask your question. I am privileged to know many of you, but we don't know all of each other. So that would be helpful. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Teal. I'm Carrie Timmer. I am the Regional Forest Health Coordinator for Placer County, a relatively new position the county created about 7 months ago. So my question, and I saw Lucy's too, which is definitely related, is just trying to determine, given the restrictions that we have on the ability to remove materials, given our lack of bills and other uses or markets for this excess material, how much benefit is there really in the forest thinning? If the material stays in the forest as either chips or in piles or on log decks, as opposed to the standing trees. And, in other words, is the work still valuable? And I have my own personal belief, of course, but this is a question that has been coming up over the past couple of years, given our infrastructure difficulties.
Yeah, you bet. Good question. Short answer is yes. So the piles modify fire behavior as well that facilitate immediate community defense. And so we've got a number of examples throughout the state of California where that is true. I wish I had that document I can send out, but we regularly, whenever we have a fire that goes through a treatment area, we go back in and try to document how was the treatment effective and in what ways. And so that we are starting to develop a library for that. And so even if we can't get the material out immediately, it's still valuable to manipulate that in some way to facilitate firefighting. And to the mill issue, yes, and we need a solution to mill capacity in California. I think we're all aware of that.
So I'll just jump in on the labor part of that, because I don't think there's, I mean, we could go around and around, spend the whole hour on biomass, so we won't do that. But on the labor question, it does seem to me there's a credible labor shortage, and also even RPS, registered foresters to do the work, but then people to get the work done on the ground. And I'm just wondering, Jonathan, whether you're seeing any change in that over the last couple of years. It seems to me that so many people are using the same forester and they're going after the same equipment, and it seems like it's going to be a problem as we try to gear up.
I mean, it's kind of like mills. Yeah, there's more and more people looking to do this type of work, both on private lands, county lands, national forest system lands. So it can get competitive. We've been very lucky here on the Tahoe National Forest, in part because of our partnerships, and we're willing to kind of develop funding mechanisms to make sure that we rise to the top in some cases. But to your point, it can be challenging. I have seen, though, industry respond somewhat. We are starting to get I get requests all the time to meet from sort of some new businesses that are starting to be developed around this. And so hopefully with what they see as more predictable funding for the next 5 to 10 years, and this work really being forest management there's very few things that may be bipartisan anymore in this country, but maybe we can take some solace in the fact that veg management right now, managing the national forest, has seemed to gain a lot of traction across the political spectrum. And so I think industry is going to respond, but it's going to take some time.
I just would offer, again, at the risk of being, not responding with the seriousness of the intent, just in the last 30 days, the Watershed Council has been contacted by 2 large firms who've done some work, and they're looking to expand their business portfolio, and they wanted to have a discussion with us about it. So just as a small example of what Jonathan's talking about.
Thank you so much, Teal. And thank you so much, Lisa and Jonathan. That was a fascinating discussion. And I think, all of these discussions just spur more and more questions. And